then, but had paid attention to him. If you had paid attention, he would have talked to you. When did you see him for the first time? He was getting really annoyed at my question. Again, I understand that, and I think he does as well. He's not afraid to show himself as a fool. Don't ask me, he said maliciously. Ask him the next time you see him. Ask him everything you want to know. Mescalito is like a person you can talk to, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So anyway, they get ready to go down. He washed his hands and face. They filled the canteen. He handed me the canteen. I asked if we could build a fire. He really reacted like that was an inconceivable idea. He said we were, that night, Mescalito's guests, and he was going to keep us warm. So this is all very mysterious. So I guess the evening mist came on, and the twilight is come on, the creek cracks between the worlds. I didn't try to ask what he meant. I lay on my stomach on the rock floor, etc., and I fell asleep. When I woke up, I heard Don Juan talking to me. It was very dark. So basically they set off in the middle of the morning night. He signaled me to sit up. He opened up his shirt, took out the leather sack, which he opened and placed on the ground in front of him. It contained a number of dried peyotes. After a long pause, he picked up one of the buttons he held in his right hand, rubbing it several times. Made a kind of Indian-type cry or something. It was weird. It terrified me. I saw him place the button in his mouth. He began to chew it. So before he's going to go gathering mushrooms, as it were. He's going to chew some stuff. And I think this is pretty authentic, even if I can't be sure it happened. It sounds authentic to me. He told me to take the sack, pick out one mescalito, put the sack in front of us again, then do exactly as he did. I did. I picked up the button, rubbed it, and chanted, swaying back and forth. I put it in my mouth, but I felt embarrassed to cry out. Anyway, again, I felt the effects of the nervous shock in my stomach. I was falling backward. I was fainting. I put the button in my mouth, chewed it. After a while, Don Juan picked up another from the sack, and he put it into his mouth, and for a short chant, passed it to me. So here they are doing this thing 5 times. They did this. There was nothing, I think, to drink, or maybe there was a little, but he said, just wash my mouth out, don't drink, or I would vomit. Swished the water around my mouth, and drank away. Not drinking was a formidable temptation. Swallowed a bit of water. Immediately my stomach began to retch or convulse. Don Juan picked up another button, handed me the sack. The cycle was renewed. They did 14 buttons. By this time, all my sensations of cold, thirst, everything had disappeared. I felt this unfamiliar warmth and excitation. So again, it's pretty good. Can we go to the creek now, Don Juan? The sound of my voice didn't project out. It hit the roof of my palate, bounced back to my throat. Now he's writing this 2 weeks later. It's pretty good that he can remember all this. Echoed to and fro between them. The echo was soft and musical. It seemed to have wings that flapped inside my throat. His touch soothed me. It followed its back and forth movement, still vanished. I repeated the question. My voice sounded as though I was talking inside a vault. Don Juan did not answer. I got up, turned in the direction of the creek. I looked at him to see if he was coming. His writing has improved tremendously here. But he seemed to be listening attentively. He made an imperative sign. Abuto is already here, whatever that means. I had never heard that word before. I was wondering whether to ask him when I detected a noise that seemed to be a buzzing inside my ears. The sound became louder until it was a vibration caused by an enormous bull roarer. It blasted for a brief moment and subsided until everything was quiet again. The violence and intensity of the noise terrified me. I was shaking so much I could hardly stand. Yet I was perfectly rational. Okay, and it reminded me of a science fiction movie I'd seen in which a gigantic bee buzzed its wings coming out of an atomic radiation area. And I began to perspire. I leaned towards Don Juan to tell him I was afraid. His face was a few inches from mine. He was looking at me, but his eyes were the eyes of a bee. They looked like round glasses that had a light of their own in the darkness. This is good stuff here, if it's true. It probably has some truth to it. he makes some more sounds here. And I jumped backwards, his lips pushed out these sounds. I hit the wall. For a seemingly endless I experienced an unbearable fear. I was panting, whining, the perspiration had frozen on my skin. Then I heard Don Juan's voice saying, "Get up, move around, get up." The image vanished. "I'll get some water," I said after an endless moment. My voice cracked. Anyway, he realized at that moment that his fear was gone as mysteriously as it had come. Upon approaching the creek, I noticed I could see every object, and the way I remembered, I just seen Don Juan clearly, whereas I could hardly distinguish the outlines of his figure. I stopped and looked into the distance. I could even see across the valley. Some boulders on the other side were perfectly visible. I thought it must be early morning, but it occurred to me I might have lost track of time. I looked at my watch. It was 10 of 12. It was nighttime. I checked the watch to see if it was working. It couldn't be midday. It had to be midnight. I intended to make a dash for the water, but I saw Don Juan coming down and I waited for him, but I told him I could see in the dark. He stared at me for a long time without saying anything. Perhaps I didn't hear him. Anyway, let's see, I was absorbed in this discovery, or whatever it is here, it's pebbles or something. And then I heard before me that sound that became audible again. My muscles stiffened. Oh, cool, something like that, Don Juan says. I fancied the roar